Hello, bác David.
Hello, how's my boys doing tonight?
Yeah, we are infected with COVID.
Well, so you're in today. You're isolating. Good for you. And um Kit, can you introduce me to your friend, please?
Yes, I think he can introduce
Himself?
himself.
Okay.
Hello,
And
hello.
what is your name?
My name is Harry. You can call me Harry. I'm from
Okay, like
Vietnam.
Harry Potter?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so I just named myself Harry. So, what's your
Okay.
name, sir?
My name is David.
David. Yeah, nice
It's
name.
it's a Hebrew name and it means beloved.
Beloved. Yeah.
And
Ooh.
so my mother named me David because I was her firstborn child.
All
And
right.
so she said, "You are my firstborn beloved baby." So she called me Davy, her baby. And Davy is a nickname. And do Vietnamese people have nicknames also?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
we have.
We have
Uh-huh.
when we was a
Well,
child.
and Harry, what? So Harry would be your nickname because that's an English name.
English name.
And Kit, how about you? Do you have a nickname?
No, I just have one name.
Just one name.
Kick laugh.
Okay.
And
And Tung, how about you?
Yes, I have a next name at home. My mother called me MINH.
How do you spell that?
MINH.
Okay, Ming. And what does that mean?
Oh, it's just a name of a
football,
soccer player.
uh,
Yeah.
soccer player, right?
It's very famous when he very famous when I was born. So my mother called me that name.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting for Taylor, and I'm kind of hoping Taylor shows up here. I just sent her a text message.
Uh-huh. And
Uh,
how about your friend Angus, right?
Angus probably won't join us tonight because it's 2 a.m. in Scotland and he's
Oh,
probably asleep.
uh-huh.
And so he probably won't join us. So it'll probably be just Taylor and the three of us. And Harry, did Kit tell you the way we uh, run our class?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
way we run our class.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
we will read five verse.
yeah, five
Uh,
verses apiece.
yes.
Everybody gets a chance to read the same five verses. And then let's, there's Taylor. Taylor, introduce yourself to Harry. Harry is a new student tonight.
Yeah, he is my roommate, Teddy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Awesome. Hi, I'm Taylor.
yeah.
Yeah. Hello, my name is
And,
Harry.
Good to
and
meet you.
Nice to meet
Taylor,
Uh,
you.
tell Harry how old you are.
I'm 19.
Hmm.
Oh, 19.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, really
yeah,
young, very young.
yeah. And Harry, how old are you?
I'm 23. 23,
23.
23 years
Wow,
old.
4 years older than Taylor. But if you added all your years, I probably would be more than all three of you put together.
Mhm.
So three of not probably four because if you added the three boys, there probably would be about 72, and then Taylor would put me over to about 90, and I'm not quite 90 yet.
Mhm.
Almost not quite 90. So, Harry, when did you start learning English?
Well, I started learning English when I was in university, the freshman in university. Yeah. At that
And
time, I just did learn English by myself, and sometimes
uh-huh,
I also went to the English center. But most of the time I just learned by myself.
uh-huh.
Wow.
yeah,
Awesome.
his English is very good.
No, 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 not really good, not really good. Just can.
Today we are infected with COVID. Yeah, that's why we wear face mask.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
Goodness. Oh,
that's okay. We are good. We are good.
you're good? Okay.
Yeah.
We are still good.
Goodness.
Yes.
Well, one nice thing, you can't infect each other because you're both already infected.
Yeah,
So that's good. Yeah, that's good. Well, I thought what we would do tonight is we would look at the questions at the end of the lesson. We won't answer the questions now, but we'll just look at them and read them. And so,
Yeah. I did read them, but I cannot answer the question 1 and 5. I don't know. I
okay,
don't know the answer. And
okay, well,
by the way, Miss Anh said she will join us. Maybe she is late 30
okay,
minutes. Yeah.
all right, that's okay. And Taylor, could you read the 7 questions, please, so the boys could hear your pronunciation?
Okay. So the first question is, why didn't Jesus want anyone to know about the little girl being healed? This little girl.
Mm-hmm.
The second question is, in verse 7, why did the man tell Jesus to leave him alone? And then, how many soldiers make up a legion? Why did the demons want to go into the pigs? In this case, why did Jesus want legion to tell the people in the city about the miracle? In verse 30, when power went out of Jesus, where did it go? Before the woman got healed, what did the first have that enabled her to be healed?
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Taylor, you read all those questions perfectly. You have perfect English.
of
I
course.
recommend you for an English teacher.
Yeah.
Totally my pleasure
Yeah.
to be your student.
Okay. Well, Harry, since you're the new guest, we're going to have you go first. And I would like you to read the first 5 verses, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
just what? 5 sentences
The 5
One to
verses.
from
five.
1 to 5. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So they came to the other side of the lake, to the region of the Tyrannosaurus, just
Yeah,
as Jesus
yeah, Gerasenes.
yeah, was getting out of the boat. A man with an unclean spirit came from the tombs and met him.
Tombs.
The
Okay, read
tombs.
a little slower, Harry. You're reading a little bit too fast. You
Slowly.
need to slow
Slowly.
down so I can correct your pronunciation. So
Oh,
that word is pronounced tombs,
the
and
tombs.
the B is silent. Tombs, graves.
Okay, okay. Spirit came from the tombs and met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for his hands and feet had often been bound with chains and shackles. But he had torn the chains apart and broken the shackles in pieces. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Each night and every day among the tombs and in the mountains, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. Yeah,
Very good. Very good. Just remember to read a little slower so I can hear your pronunciation
yeah,
and correct your pronunciation.
yeah,
Very
yeah. Yeah,
good.
thanks, sir.
Okay. Kiet, can you read 6 of the same verses, please? 1 through 5.
Yes. So they came to the other side of the lake, to the region of the I don't know,
It's called Gerasenes.
Gerasenes.
Gerasenes. Mm-hmm.
Gerasenes. Just as Jesus was getting out of the boat, a man with an unclean spirit came from the tombs and met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for his hands and feet had often been bound with chains and shackles, but he had torn the chains apart and broken the shackles in pieces. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Each night and every day among the tombs and in the mountains he would cry out and cut himself with stones.
Good. And the term in the second verse, unclean spirit,
Mhm,
just means the spirit of a devil. Uh,
mhm,
and it was the spirit of the devil inside of the man. And this man was possessed with an unclean spirit, of the spirit of a devil. In this case, actually, many, many evil spirits. And I will give you the answer to one of our questions. A Roman legion, was between 10 and 12,000 men. So he had between 10 and 12,000 devils in him. That would be enough to kill an average person. But this man was pretty strong to be able to resist being killed by these 12,000 evil spirits. Okay, good. Okay, Toon, can you read the same verses, please?
Yes. So they came to the other side of the lake, to the region of the Gerasenes,
Mm-hmm.
just as Jesus.
Yeah, and it could be, that word can be pronounced two ways. It could be pronounced Gerasenes or Gerasenes. Either way is correct. I've heard it pronounced both ways. So don't worry about it. It's a proper name. You'll never need it in English, except in the Bible.
Yes, just as Jesus was getting out of the boat, a man with an unclean spirit came from the tombs and met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain, for his hands and feet had often been
Thấy
bound
được không?
with chains and shackles, but he had torn the chains apart and broken the shackle in pieces. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Each night and every day among the tombs and in the mountains he would cry out and cut himself with stones.
Okay, good. Very good, Tung. Now, do the three of you have any questions or comments about these 5 verses?
Mhm,
I have a question that where he the where he live with the many tomb.
Yeah, yeah, he lived in
I
the
don't.
countryside outside of the city. He had a home, and we'll learn later in this chapter that he had a home of his own, but he couldn't live in his home because the devils would control him and he would hurt the people in the home. So he knew to live in the countryside, in the tombs where the dead people were buried. And oftentimes the bad spirit of a dead person would go into him. And that's why he lived in the tombs, because the evil spirits made him live in the tombs or in the cemetery. We call where the tombs were a cemetery or a graveyard, and where the graves or the tombs were. Um, Taylor, do you have any questions about these 5 verses or any comments?
I don't think so.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we'll go
yeah,
on.
but David, you said 12,000 evil spirit uh, possessed in the man.
Yes.
Wow.
And a lot of evil spirits. And
Uh-huh.
we're gonna learn where those evil spirits went, and then I'll explain something about evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
They need a body to live in. It doesn't have to be a human body.
Mm-hmm.
It could be an animal's body.
Yeah.
But evil spirits need a body to live in. Otherwise, they are destroyed. If they don't have a body to inhabit, they they disappear into thin air, and they have no power if they're not in a body.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to inhabit a body. And if they can't inhabit a human body, they'll inhabit a animal's body. Okay.
Okay.
Harry, could you read 6 through 10, please? And remember to read a little bit slow so I can hear your pronunciation.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Nâng.
When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him. Then he cried out with a loud voice, "Leave me alone, Jesus, Son of the Most High God. I implore you by God, do not torment me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of that man, you unclean spirit." Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged Jesus repeatedly not to send them out of the region.
Yes, very good, Harry. And Harry, why did the uh, uh, why did the devil cry, "Leave me alone, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I
Hmm.
implore you by God, do not torment me." Why did the devil say that?
Uh, the devil said that, "Leave me alone," uh, because the devil or uh, just want just want um, just want to come out that man, and he just want to be alone. Not.
I think devil is scared of the Jesus.
He is.
Yeah.
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 See where it says the devil said to Jesus, "Do not torment me."
Mm-hmm.
He knew Jesus had the power to torment him. Jesus could make him feel fire, and Jesus could send him to hell. It's a place of unburning, unquenchable fire. It burns for all eternity. And Jesus could send him to hell because that's where devils go. Devils will live in eternity in torment in fire. And hell was never meant for men to live in. It was meant for devils. But we don't want to be a devil, so we want to be on God's side. Okay, good, Harry. Now, Kit, can you read the same verses, please?
Yes. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him. Then he cried out with a loud voice, "Leave me alone, Jesus, Son of the Most High God. I implore you by God, do not torment me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of that man, you unclean spirit." Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged Jesus repeatedly not to send them out of the region.
Yes. So this man, the devils could talk through this man's mouth. But once Jesus sends the devils out of this man, then he could talk for himself. And so this was a good thing that Jesus sent all these devils out. Okay, Tone, could you read the same 5 verses, please?
Yes. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him. Then he cried out with a loud voice, "Leave me alone, Jesus, Son of the Most High God. I implore you by God, do not torment me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of that man, you unclean spirit." Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And he said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged Jesus repeatedly not to send them out of the region.
Yes, because if they went out of the region, they would be destroyed in burning fire. They had to inhabit a body. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, do you have any questions about what we just read? Any questions?
Yeah, No.
Kaylee, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't think so.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's go on to verse 11 through 15. And again, Harry, could you start that, please?
Okay. There on the hillside, a herd of pigs was feeding. And the demonic spirits begged him, "Send us into the pigs, let us enter them." Jesus gave them permission. So the unclean spirits came out and went into the pigs. Then the herd rushed out the steep slope into the lake, and about 2,000 were drowned in the lake. Now the herdmen ran off and spread the news in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed
Demon.
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 demon-possessed man sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, the one who had the legion, and they were afraid.
Yes. Good. And demonic is another word for demon. A demon, demonic spirit, a demon spirit, the spirit of a devil. Yes. Okay. Kit, same verses, please.
Yes. There on the hillside, a great herd of pigs was feeding, and the demonic, right? Demonic
That's right. Demonic. That's
spirits
right.
begged him, "Send us into the pigs, let us enter them." Jesus gave them permission, so the unclean spirits came out and went into the pigs. Then the herd rushed down the steep slope into the lake, and about 2,000 were drawn,
Drowned.
drowned,
Yes. Drowned.
drowned in
Yep.
the lake.
Yeah. Die by water.
Now the herdsmen ran up and spread the news in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man sitting there, clothed, right?
Clothed.
Clothed,
Yep. That means having clothes on. Clothed.
clothed, and in his right mind. The one who had the legion, and they were afraid.
Yeah. So now this man, Legion, doesn't have devils in him anymore. Now he's in his right mind. Now he can talk for himself, he could answer for himself, and he can think for himself. He no longer is controlled by demons. Okay, Tung, can you read the same verses, please?
Yes.
Chỗ này không hiểu là sao mà
There on the hillside,
mấy
a
con
great
quỷ nó
herd
nhập vô con heo
of pigs
là
was
để cho nó sống
feeding,
sót không? Mà sao tự nhiên giờ
and the
nhảy xuống cái vực
demonic
là chết?
Demonic.
spirits
Thì hỏi
begged him, "Send us into the pigs, let us enter
cái
them."
chết xuống cái hồ.
Jesus gave them
Đang muốn sống, ý là
permission.
đang muốn sống.
So
Cái con
the
người nó nhận thức là
unclean spirits came out and went into the pigs.
Mà mấy cái con quỷ
Then
vô
the
thì
herd
nó điều
rushed
khiển được chứ.
down the steep slope into the lake, and about 2,000 were drowned in the lake. Now the herdmen ran up and spread the news in the town and the
Coi mà sao tự nhiên
countryside,
nhảy xuống cái vực là
and the people
ý là
went
có thể
out
điều
to
khiển
see
được.
what had happened.
Yeah, can you
They
ask me?
came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man sitting there, clothed and
That's right.
and in
That's
his
right. Hmm.
yeah, and in his right mind, the one who had the legion, and they were afraid.
Very good. So, you're going to see in this portion of the scripture that Jesus is going to tell this man to go back and tell other people. But then we're going to be reading about the little girl who was healed, and Jesus is going to say, don't tell. And we're going to talk about at the end of our study, we're going to talk about why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, do you have any questions about what we've read so far?
Mm,
Any of the verses we've read so far?
yes. Harry.
Harry, actually, I have a question about the reason why the devils they just came out the man, and after that, the devil uh,
Possess.
just uh, get
Possesses.
possess the pigs, and after that, the pigs has to be thrown into the lake to die. Yeah, it's very
Yes,
strange. Yeah, because
yes.
yeah.
It's because that the devils could not control the animals.
Wow.
They could control a human being
Mhm.
because the human being they overpowered the human being. There was thousands of devils in one human being, but just one spirit per pig. And this one spirit per pig, the pig couldn't have any control,
Mm-hmm.
and the devils wanted to depart this earth and go to the place of devils before they went into the place of fire. But that's a good question because they controlled the pigs and made the pigs die
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't want to live in a pig's body. They wanted to live in a man's body. The devil doesn't want to inhabit animals. He wants to inhabit human beings. And ever since God created man and woman in the Garden of Eden, the devil has always been wanting to try to control and make human beings do his will instead of God's will. So there's a war between the devil and God, but God is stronger. And the devils knew that. They recognized Jesus was the Son of God, and they knew they had no power over the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
The devils had control over men, but they didn't have any control over the power of God and the power of his Son, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we want to be on God's side, because we need his help. Um, you know, the devils make people drink. The devils make people kill people. Devils make people do crazy things. Devils make people have war, but God never intended there be murder and war and getting drunk. And so the devils want us to do bad things. And without the power of God, we have no control over what devils can ask us to do.
Uh,
And so it's not just good
No.
enough to have free will unless we have God controlling our free will. So we as Christians believe if we give our lives to God, God will give us power over devils. And so those are good questions. That's good questions, Harry. Very good. Okay. Let's go on to verse 16 through 20. And Harry, I guess it's your turn, huh?
yeah. Those who had seen what had happened to the demon possessed man reported it, and they also told about the pigs. Then they asked Jesus to leave their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon possessed asked if he could go with him, but Jesus did not permit him to do so. Instead, he said to him, "Go to your home and to your people and tell them what the Lord has done for you, that he had mercy on you." So he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis, right?
Decapolis.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Decapolis.
that was an area of 10 cities.
hmm area of 10 cities. Decapolis, what Jesus had done for him, and all were amazed.
Very good. Yeah. And so you see, this man did have a home of his own, and he had a family of his own. But because the devils made him unbearable to live with, he had to leave his home and live in the tombs. Yeah. Okay. Kiet, can you read the same verses, please?
Yes, those who had seen what had happened to the demon-possessed men reported it, and they also told about the pigs. Then they asked Jesus to leave their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed asked if he could go with him, but Jesus did not permit him to do so. Instead, he said to him, "Go to your home and to your people and tell them what the Lord has done for you, that he had mercy on you." So he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis
That's right, Decapolis. Mm-hmm.
what Jesus had done for him, and all we were amazed.
Yes. Yeah. Coming from this man, it would have been a very, very impressive report, because here was a man that had no control of himself, and all of a sudden he met Jesus, and Jesus made him whole. And as we say, sane, in his right mind. We have the word in English sane, S-A-N-E, and that means in your right mind. You're thinking straight.
Mhm.
When you get drunk, you're a little bit insane for the
Mm.
period you've been drinking.
Uh-huh.
You're not in your right mind. But
Yeah.
when you're sober, then you're sane. You're in your right mind.
Right.
Okay, Tung, could you read the same verses, please?
Yes. Those who had seen what had happened to the demon-possessed man reported it, and they also told about the pigs. Then they asked Jesus to leave their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed asked if he could go with him, but Jesus did not permit him to do so. Instead, he said to him, "Go to your home and to your people, and tell them what the Lord has done for you, that he had mercy on you." So he went away and began to proclaim in the
Proclaim
Decapolis
nghĩa là gì đây?
what Jesus had done for him, and all were amazed.
Good. Tung, do you or Kiet or Harry have any questions about what we've just read in those 5 verses?
Yeah, just a question you give me. You give us. Yeah, I cannot answer. I cannot know why Jesus told the man to tell the people, but Jesus don't want the what the girl family.
Mm-hmm.
What do I call?
Yeah, the girl who was had the
Miracle.
disease.
Miracle, right?
The
Mhm.
little girl
Yeah.
being healed. Yeah, Jesus didn't want anyone to know it.
Yes.
Why? But why now Jesus told the man to say anything about
Yes.
yeah about him.
The the girl was sick, and Jesus didn't want everybody to know that he had the power to heal people, because the only reason people would come to Jesus would be to be healed. He didn't want just to heal people. He wanted to give them bread for their souls. He wanted to make their souls free. And so if people told him that Jesus could heal people, they would bring all the people, and they did. People didn't obey Jesus, so they went and told others Jesus could heal people, and so people were always bringing sick people to heal Jesus, and they weren't interested in what he had to say, just what he can do for healing. But this poor man that was possessed by the devils, he had no one to ask for help for him. The devils certainly weren't going to let him ask for help. And so Jesus knew he needed help. And in the very first, when the demon-possessed man did ask for help, it was the only time he had the power to speak, is he cried out for help and asked for help, and Jesus helped him. But the little girl couldn't ask for help because she was sick. But that's a good question. Yeah, it's amazing how if our ministers like Bach Mo just healed people, people would just come to him to be healed. They wouldn't come to learn about God. So that's why. This is a good question. Okay, Harry, could you, and Taylor, do you have any comments or questions about what we just read?
No.
Oh,
Um,
but David,
yeah.
Miss Anh
Hello.
yeah.
Sorry for my late.
Okay, well, better late than never. So that's good. Better late than never. But we let ladies go first. So what we'll let you do, Ein, we'll let you read verses 21 through 25. Do you have your
Chuẩn rồi.
lesson
Sorry.
there?
I am searching the lesson.
Uh-huh. So if you don't have the lesson, you could listen to us read. So would you like to listen to us read?
True. Can you send
Yeah,
me?
yes. Okay.
Okay. While I'll tell you what, while Kiet's sending you the lesson, maybe Tung, I'll have you start with 21 through 25. So Tung, we'll have you go
Yeah.
first,
Yeah,
and then,
okay.
and then we'll have Ein go.
21. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the synagogue rulers, named
Jairus.
Jairus,
Hmm.
came up, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He asked him urgently, "My little daughter is near death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be healed and live." Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed and pressed around him. Now a woman was there who had been suffering from uh, hemorrhage.
Hemorrhage. That's where
Hemorrhage.
you're bleeding and you can't stop bleeding. Yeah, hemorrhage is when you're, hemorrhage.
Hemorrhage.
Yeah, bleeding.
Yes, for 12 years.
Yes, very
Hemorrhage.
good. And remember, the word synagogue means a Jewish church building where the Jews met. Because remember, this was in Israel
Là
where
gì?
the Jews were. Okay, Ein, do you have the lesson where you could read 21 through 25?
Là cái chữ này à?
Okay. When Jesus had got
Synagogue.
again in a boat to the to
Synagogue.
the other side,
Synagogue.
a large crowd gathered around him,
Nó nghe
and
tí
he
chậm em đọc.
was by the sea. Then one of the synagogue rulers,
Synagogue. Hmm.
synagogue rulers named Jairus,
Jairus.
Jairus,
Hmm.
Jairus came up, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. he asked him urgently, "My little daughter is near death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be healed and live." Jesus went with him,
Heal and
and a
live.
large crowd
Live or
followed
live.
and
Live đúng không?
pressed
Live.
around him.
Thế nào?
Now a woman was
Live.
there
Live.
who has been suffering from a hemorrhage.
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 Yeah,
Hem-
hemorrhage.
hemorrhage
Hemorrhage.
for
hmm
12 years.
Good. Yeah, and a hemorrhage just means that you're bleeding and you can't stop bleeding.
Mất máu.
Nothing can stop your bleeding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it's a disease. Okay.
Synagogue.
Kiet, can you read those same 5 verses, please?
Yes. When Jesus had crossed again in a boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the synagogue rulers named Jairus came
That's right.
came up, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He asked him urgently, "My little daughter is near death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be healed and live." Jesus went with him, and a large crowd followed and pressed around him. Now a woman was there who had been suffering from a hemorrhage for 12 years.
Good. And also the crowd pressing around him, press means to touch him. So these people touched him,
Mhm.
but nothing happened to them when they touched him. We're
Uh,
going to find out that something happened to this woman when she
oh,
touched him.
yeah, it's
And we're going to talk about why something happened to her, but nothing happened to the other people.
yeah.
Okay, Harry, could you read those verses, please?
Yeah. When Jesus had crossed again in a boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the synagogue rulers, named Jairus, came up,
That's right.
and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He asked him urgently, "My little daughter is near death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be healed and live." Jesus went
There.
with him, and a large crowd followed and pressed around him. Now a woman was there who had been suffering from the hemorrhage for 12
Hemorrhage.
years. Yeah, hemorrhage.
hmm Yes, very good. And so now we're going to see what happens to this woman
Uh-huh.
who's suffering from the hemorrhage.
Yeah.
So ladies go first. So Ein, you read first, please, 26 through 30.
Okay. She had an
Endured.
endured
hmm
a great deal under the care of many doctors, and has spent all that she had. Yet, instead of getting better,
Instead, đúng không?
she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and took his cloak,
And touched his cloak.
for she kept saying, "If only I can touch his clothes, I will be healed."
Lâu đúng không?
As one, the
Lâu.
bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Jesus knew that Jesus knew at once that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes.
Yeah, who touched my clothes? Sometimes we can feel somebody if they touch our body, but we don't always feel if they just touch our clothes and don't touch our body.
Mhm.
Yeah, but he could feel that she touched his clothes. Okay. Harry, could you read that portion, please?
Okay. She had endured a radial under the care of many doctors, and had spent all that she had. Yet, instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, for she kept saying, "If only I can touch his clothes, I will be healed." At once the bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Jesus knew at once that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?"
Yep. Who touched my clothes? That's how sensitive he was.
Sensitive he was.
Okay, Kiet, can you read the same verses, please?
Yes. She had endure, right?
Endured.
Endured a
Mm-hmm.
great deal under the care of many doctors, and had spent and all that she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, cloak,
Cloak.
cloak,
Mm-hmm.
cloak.
Yes.
For she kept saying, "If only I can touch his clothes, I will be healed." At once the bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Jesus knew at once that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?"
Yes. And a lot of people touched him,
Mhm.
but this lady just touched his clothes. And that's the one he felt. And we're going to talk about why he felt it in just a little bit. Okay, after Tung gets done reading. So Tung, can you read those
Rồi biết tại
verses,
sao không?
please?
Yes,
Tại sao mà ý
she
là nhiều
had
người chạm vô
endured a great deal
Jesus nhưng mà chỉ có
under the
mình
care of
ông
many
cảm nhận được
doctors
là
and
cái năng
had
lượng của
spent
ông
all
bị
that
truyền
she had.
đi vô các bạn.
Yes, instead of
Ý là nhiều người
better,
chạm nhưng mà
she
bạn là
grew
bị bệnh đúng
worse.
không?
Ừ.
Uh,
Tốt
Jesus,
cô có
she came
thị
up
lực đó,
behind him
khi nào đó
in the
qua,
crowd
khi mà
and
qua mà
touched
chữa cho bà
his
khỏi á, thì bà
cloak,
sẽ mất có một người. Ví dụ như mà
for
chạm
she
vào á,
kept
em thấy
saying,
chạm vào á là ông sẽ
if
không cảm nhận được đúng không?
only I touch
Khi nào mà
his
cái thị
clothes,
lực ông bị mất đi á,
I will
là
be
ông cảm
healed.
nhận được, ông biết được điều đó.
At once
Nhưng mà nhiều
the
người nó cũng
bleeding
có nhiều người
stopped,
bệnh mà.
and she
Ý là
felt
tại sao
in her
chỉ có bà
body
này là
that
được
she
chữa thôi mà
was
những người kia
healed
không được chữa?
of
Ủa,
her
có
disease.
nhắc có mấy người kia bệnh không?
Thì
Jesus
ý là
knew
nhiều
at
người chạm thì chắc
once
chắn sẽ có người bệnh
that
này người bệnh
power
kia.
had gone out from him.
Nhưng mà nó đâu có
He
đề cập đó,
turned around
nó chỉ đề
in the
cập tới người bệnh
crowd
thôi.
and said,
Nói chung á,
who touched
không
my
nhưng mà bả là
clothes?
người bệnh đúng không? Chắc gì năng lượng nó truyền qua bả
Mm-hmm.
mà chắc gì
Yep. Do you have any questions so far on
chắc,
what we've
chắc
read
gì
so
chứ là
far?
truyền qua cho bả. Không truyền cũng được mà. Ý là cơ bản ở đây là niềm tin thôi.
Okay. Now I'm going to put Miss Taylor on the spot. Miss Taylor, that woman was healed and she just touched Jesus'
Tại vì các bạn không có
clothes.
niềm tin đơn giản
And
vậy
there
đó.
were people who touched Jesus and nothing happened to them. Taylor, why do you think
Anh nghĩ
that
vậy.
that woman was healed when she just touched his clothes?
Wasn't it because she had so much faith
No.
in Jesus?
Bingo! Bingo, bingo. She had so much faith. That's the key. She had so much
Tâm linh lắm mà,
faith.
tâm linh.
The other people, they might have had something wrong with them, but they didn't have the faith that that woman had. But that woman knew, all I have to do is touch his clothes and I will be healed. And that's what made her whole, was her faith.
Em đừng có
Good
trả lời theo
girl.
cách khoa học.
Good girl.
Đừng có trả lời tâm linh.
That's why she's my star teacher.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Can you read 31 through 35, please?
Okay.
Cái gì?
His disciples said to him, "You see the
Ủa,
crowd
nói gì?
pressing against you, and
Có gì
you
đâu.
say,
Chút, có được
Who
cứ hỏi thôi.
taught me?
Bình thường.
But he looked around to see who had done it.
Nói chung là mấy người
Then
theo
the
đạo
woman,
Thiên Chúa
with
người ta tin
fear and
tin
trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. While he was still speaking, people came from the synagogue rulers'
synagogue hay là
house,
synagogue?
saying, Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?
Okay, good, Ein. Good. Very good. Okay, Harry, could you read those same verses, please?
His disciples said
Disciples.
His disciples said to him, You see the crowd pressing against you, and you say, Who touched me? But he looked around to see who had done it. Then the woman, with fear and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. While he was still speaking, people came from the synagogue ruler's house, saying, Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?
Yes. And Harry, a disciple is a learner. Taylor and I consider ourselves to be disciples of Jesus because we're learners. And a disciple is someone who learns from a master. And Jesus is our master. And Tung and Kiet, they've been studying with me for 7 months now. And slowly they're becoming disciples of Jesus by learning about Jesus. And that's what a disciple is a learner. Okay, good. All right. Kiet, can you read those same 5 verses, please?
Yes. His disciples said to him, You see the crowd pressing against you, and you say, Who touched me? But he looked around to see who had done it. Then the woman, with fear and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. While he was still speaking, people came from the synagogue ruler's house, saying, Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?
Yes. And notice those verses, fear and trembling. The Bible tells us that devils believe in Jesus and they fear and tremble. But they don't get any help because they don't confess Jesus. A devil has no choice except to obey the prince of the devil, Beelzebub, the prince or the leader of the devils. They have to obey him. Okay, Tung, could you read those same 5 verses, please?
Yes. His disciples said to him, You see the crowd question against you, and you say, Who touched me?
Đó,
But
ghê mà đúng không?
he looked around to see who had done it. Then the woman, with fear and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth.
Mình
He
nói là
said
nãy
to
mình nói
her,
câu thầy em biết sao
Daughter,
mà
your faith has made you well.
Jesus
Go in
kêu
peace
cái ông kia
and
lan
be
truyền tin,
healed of
còn
your
lại nói
disease.
là cái
While he
kêu cái
was
nhà ở dưới đây
still
là đừng có lan
speaking,
truyền tin.
people came from the synagogue ruler's house, saying, Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?
Yes, very good. And now we're going to find out that Jesus can heal people and not even be present with them. Another miracle. So we're seeing three miracles done in this chapter. One miracle is done to a man that's possessed of devils, and Jesus tells him to go and tell others what happened.
Nước.
And then we're seeing a woman who touches Jesus, and she's healed right in his presence. And then this little girl is healed, and he's not even present with the little girl. And so
Even present là sao?
he is present when he tells her to get up,
He is not
but
even.
he can go to the place, or he could say the word. We're going to find out in another chapter that he's not even present with a person when he heals them. Okay, Ein, ladies first. And could you read 37
Even
through the end of the
present là cái
chapter? The end of the chapter is verse 43, and I'll have you read 36 through
rồi không
43.
có gì.
So that'll be your
Rồi bà
reading, Ein.
present là đại diện hả?
Ein, are you there?
Okay, okay. I turn off my
Okay. Oh, you
microphone.
turned off your mic. That's
I
why I
turn
could.
on.
Okay.
But Jesus, paying no attention to what was said, told the synagogue ruler, Do not be afraid, just believe.
Gì?
He did not let anyone follow him
Sao nó vẫn còn đây?
except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue ruler,
Synagogue.
where he saw noisy confusion and people weeping and wailing
Weep là
loudly.
nghĩa là khóc đúng không?
Loudly.
Loudly. Wailing loudly. Wail means to
Wailing
cry.
loudly.
Yeah,
When,
cry.
yeah.
Mhm.
When he entered, he said to them, Why are you distressed and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep. And they began making fun of him. But he put them on outside, and he took the child's father and mother and his own companions and went into the room where the child was. Then, gently taking the child by the hand,
Ồ,
he said to her, Talitha,
còn có con cái nè. Ồ,
Cum.
which means
Yeah,
come.
that's Hebrew. That's not English. So you won't find
không
those
phải
words
không phải
in
ta.
English.
Yes, which means, little girl, I say to you, get up. The girl got up at once and began to walk around. She was 12 years old.
Hết luôn, sẵn rồi.
They were completely astonished at this.
Astonished. Hmm.
Astonished at this. He
Astonished.
strictly ordered that no one should know
Ngạc
about
nhiên đúng không?
this
Vô cùng ngạc nhiên.
and told them to give her something to eat.
Good. Yes. And so Peter, James, and John were three of Jesus' very favorite disciples. When he was in the garden, his last night on this earth before he was crucified, he had Peter, James, and John with him. And he took them as comfort. So they gave Jesus great comfort. You might say they were his three best friends on the earth. Okay.
Mhm.
Carrie, could you read 36 through the end of the chapter, please?
But Jesus, but Jesus, paying no attention to what was said, told the synagogue ruler, Do not be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue ruler, where he saw noisy confusion and people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said to them, "Why are you distressed and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they began making fun of him, but he put them all outside, and he took the child's father and mother and his own companions and went into the room where the child was. Then, gently taking the child by the hand, he said to her, Talitha koum, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." The girl got up at once and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. They were completely astonished at this. He strictly ordered that no one should know about this, and told them to give her something to eat.
Okay. Um, it looks like Ein had some
Yeah,
problems.
yeah, yeah. She is
So
out.
she,
She have something
oh,
to do.
okay. All right. Tung, can you read the same, Kit, sorry, Kit, 36 through the end, please?
Yes, but Jesus, paying no attention to what was said, told the synagogue ruler, "Do not be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue ruler, where he saw noisy confusion and people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said to them, "Why are you distressed and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they began making fun of him. But he put them on outside, and he took the child father and mother and his own companions, and went into the room where the child was. Then gently talking the child, uh, taking the child by the hand, he said to her, Talitha koum, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." The girl got up at once and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. They were
Completely. Hmm.
completely astonished at this. He strictly ordered that no one should know about this, and told them to give her something to eat.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay. And Tung, you read the
Chỗ này,
same
chỗ
verses,
này chữ ít để biết đọc.
please.
Trials,
Yes.
Trials.
But Jesus
Đó, chữ đỏ.
paid no attention
trials.
to what
Mình có thể
was
đọc
said,
anh đọc là
told the
trials.
synagogue ruler, "Do
Trials.
not be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the synagogue ruler, where he saw noisy confusion and people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said to them, "Why are you distressed and weeping? The child is not dead but asleep." and they began making fun of him. But he put them all aside, and he took the child's father and mother and his own companions, and went into the room where the
Convenient.
child was. Then, gently taking the child by the hand, he said to her, "Talitha which means,
Talitha.
"Little girl, I say to you, get up." The girl got up at once and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. They were completely astonished at this. He strictly ordered that no one should know about this, and told them to give her something to eat.
Yes, and notice that there in that second to last verse, it says they were completely astonished at this. In other words, they couldn't hardly believe it. And that's one of the reasons that Jesus told them not to tell anybody, because they didn't have enough faith. Like the lady who touched Jesus, she had enough faith to believe Jesus could heal. She was glad and happy, and she knew Jesus could heal, but they were surprised that Jesus could heal this little girl. And so Jesus didn't want people just to come to him for healing. He wanted people to come to him because of faith in him as the Son of God. So that's the answer to the question number one. Why didn't Jesus want anyone to know about this little girl being healed? Because he didn't want people just to come to him for healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he was nothing but a doctor. He was far more than the doctor. He was the Son of God. And then, of course, in verse 7, question number 2, why did the man tell Jesus to leave him alone? Because he wanted, uh, the devils were telling Jesus to leave them alone. They didn't want to be bothered by Jesus. And question number 3, how many soldiers make up a legion? It depends on which dictionary you look in. Some say 10,000, some say 12,000. And then question number 4, why did the demons want to go into the pigs? Because demons, a devil needs a body to inhabit, whether human or animal, but they
Mm-hmm.
prefer human bodies to inhabit. And sometimes we can get an evil spirit inside of us. When I get angry and I don't understand why I'm angry, sometimes I feel like I've got a devil inside of me. And I said, what's wrong with me? I shouldn't be this angry. And I tell the evil spirit to leave me alone. I say, in the name of Jesus Christ, get out of me if I feel like I'm angry and I shouldn't be angry. And then the question number 5, in this case, why did Jesus want Legion to tell the people in the city about the miracle? He wanted Jesus to go and tell his own people about what God has done for him. It's like when Kiet, you and Tung have been learning with me for 7 months now, and I want you to go and tell your relatives about what you're learning about Jesus. Bach Mo wants you to tell people what you're learning about Jesus, because Jesus is working in your lives, and it's a beautiful thing. And then question number 6, in verse 30, when power went out of Jesus, where did it go? Okay, Tung, can you answer that question? Where did the power go when it went out of Jesus?
For me, I think the power of Jesus go into the woman
That's
who,
right.
yeah, who
That
was
had the
sleeping.
faith. Yeah. The power of Jesus goes into us when we touch Jesus and we have faith to believe he can heal us and make us whole. When I pray in the morning, I pray I pray for Taylor. I've prayed for Taylor for 10 years now. And then I pray for you two. I pray that God will give you faith. And I pray that God would put faith in your hearts to believe in Jesus. And then the 7th question, before the woman got healed, what did the she first have that enabled her to be healed? Kiet, can you answer that question?
Uh, she need to have faith.
Good, good, very good,
Yeah.
very good. And we have what's called an acrostic. An acrostic is when we take the first letter of a word and we use a word for that letter. For example, Faith spells faith.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And the best acrostic for faith is F, full, A, assurance, I, N, T, the, H, heart. Full assurance in the heart. That's faith.
Ooh.
I have faith that all of you are going to be excellent at English. And I have faith that you're going to be good disciples of Jesus, learners of Jesus. So, do you have any questions before we
Nói
end
nói.
tonight's lesson? Taylor, do you have any comments or questions?
No, that's a very complicated chapter, I think, but
It
I
is.
liked it.
It is complicated. Yeah. That's not an easy chapter to study because there's three different people that get help in that chapter. One, a very strange incident in which a man is possessed by thousands of demons and he gets help and it goes into pigs. And then a woman who touches Jesus and she gets healed because of her faith. And then a little girl who has no power to ask for help. And her father asks for help because he loved the little girl. But they disobeyed Jesus when they told others about what he did. In another gospel, it tells that they told other people, and Jesus was unable to do any more healing or miracles at that particular place. But you all three, and Harry, your English pronunciation is very good, and I hope that you can join us again in next week's lesson. So it was very good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of all of you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
last week, I'm sorry I wasn't able to teach you. I had a guest here, an unexpected visitor, and that visitor stayed longer than I could get back to teach you. So I was so thankful that Taylor did a great job of
Yeah,
teaching.
she did a great job. Yeah, very good.
Well, I'm going to give her a raise. I'm giving her a raise instead of 10 hugs next time I see her. I'm giving her 100 hugs next time I see her.
I'll take it. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's my granddaughter.
Mhm.
Granddaughter.
Although
Wow.
she's not granddaughter by my blood, she's granddaughter by my heart.
Oh, granddaughter by
Oh,
your heart. By your
yeah,
heart.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright, the
and
first time I just think that you all the
yeah,
relatives, but just your granddaughter by your heart.
she's my adopted granddaughter, Konui.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And I have to tell all of you a story of what happened to me. I think I didn't get a chance to tell you last week,
Mhm.
but uh, 2 weeks ago, I was with my granddaughter, Maya. Maya is 5 years old. And I was watching a Walt Disney movie with Maya, and all of you might enjoy the movie. It's called Coco. It's about family and the importance of family. And in the movie, there was a scary part. So my little granddaughter Maya put her hands over my eyes and she says, Grandpa, don't watch this part of the movie. It's going to make you very scared. We don't want you to be scared and cry. So
Oh.
she was protecting me from being scared.
Coco's
And
beautiful
so
movie.
she's very protective of her poor little grandpa who might be scared of a movie.
Wow, that's cute.
Coco is a
And then,
cocoon, right? Sure.
what's that?
Cocoon. Coco is the film of if my memory serves me right, it is a cartoon film, right?
It's,
Cartoon,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
cartoon.
cartoon.
Yeah, I used
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
watch this film. Yeah, this film is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
story
Yeah,
is yeah good.
it's it's about a culture in Mexico called Hispanic culture. And in Hispanic culture, they celebrate a day called the Day of the Dead. And they believe that the dead can come back and visit their family once a year
Yeah.
on the Day of the Dead. But it's a cartoon animation, and it was very good about family, the importance of family, that family is one of the most important things in the world. In your culture, you believe very strongly in family. Vietnamese culture reverences and respects family values stronger than America.
Mhm.
That's why tôi yêu Vietnam. I
Ooh.
love
Sure.
Vietnam because of the strong family values.
Mhm.
And so all of you are my conchai. You are my sons. And Taylor is like my chow guy.
Yes, cháu
She's
gái.
my
Yes.
grand. Yeah. And so she and her sister are my granddaughters.
Yeah.
But you all did very good tonight. And Harry, welcome to the class.
Uh,
And we'll do this again on March 6th next week.
Uh,
And
I hope that I
we
can
will,
arrange my time, yeah, to
yeah,
participate in this lesson.
sure.
yeah,
Well,
usually
I hope.
at that time he go to work. He goes to work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he
No,
cannot join.
normally at this time of the week, yeah, I have to work, yeah,
Yeah,
in the company. So, because today is my off day,
because
because I'm
infected with
infected.
COVID.
I'm at home to participate. However, if I have time, yeah, for sure, I will join in.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. We will look forward to having you all again same time next week. And in the meantime, keep a smile on your face, a song in your heart, and
Never
never
give
give
up.
up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very
Love
much.
you all.
Thank you. Thank
And
you, David.
we'll talk to you down the
Thank you,
trail.
Tally.
And Taylor, I'm going to call you in about 5 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you,
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Taylor. Thank you, David.
Yeah,
You're,
thank
Bye.
you're,
you.
Good
come kazido kami.
Tom,
Okay.
Tom.
Tom Viet.
Yeah, bye bye.
Tom Viet.